We Say What They Can't Radio.
What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up, everybody? It's your girl, Simone S. Gray, and welcome to some Me Time Podcast. How you doing? Hey, ladies.
Hey.
That felt good to be like a nice little singing group. Oh, yeah. So I want to give a shout out to We Say What They Can't Radio for giving me the opportunity to be able to speak my mind, to connect with some amazing people. October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So today we're going to talk about domestic violence, and unfortunately, it's more common than people know. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So I have some people here with me who have overcome domestic violence. They've experienced domestic violence, and they're doing things, they're making positive strides to make sure that it doesn't happen to the next woman. But, you know, I'm excited about today's show. I'm excited. To my right, I have my friend Nicole. She's going to introduce herself. She's doing some amazing things in the community. She's representing a lot of people in the realm for domestic violence. Nicole, tell people who you are, what you represent, and where they can find you on social media.
My name is Nicole Sharpe, and I've been an advocate for domestic violence awareness for the past 10 years. Been doing a lot of advocacy work, first starting at my job at SUNY Downstate Medical Center, and then moving on. I've spoken at a lot of different places and did a lot of networking to get to know more about domestic violence. So the reason why I became an advocate is because, should I say it now?
You can say it.
Yeah, I lost my mother to domestic violence. So I became an advocate. But just to get to the point right at hand, I can be reached at Heather Hurley Foundation on Instagram and Heather Hurley Foundation on Facebook. So Heather Hurley is my mother's name. So I created a 501c3 nonprofit in her name. And I can be reached, Heather Hurley Foundation, on all social media handles.
Wow, okay. We're definitely going to talk about that. Thank you for coming on the show. And, you know, just thank you for being an advocate for domestic violence, because sometimes it has such a negative stigma to it, and it really can make women who experience it, or even men, anyone who experiences domestic violence, it can make them feel embarrassed to even speak about it, or maybe feel responsible. But thank you so much for what you're doing and who you're representing. Next thing we have to the left, I have my girl Rachael. What's up?
Okay, so my name is Rachael Browne. I go by Rachael B. You can find me on Instagram at Beautiful Serene Queen, or Facebook at Rachael B Drops Jewels. So I'm here because basically I've experienced domestic violence, you know, in relationships, and, you know, I will never be in those situations again. I've overcome it, and I just want anybody else who's in it to be able to overcome it as well, because you can get out.
Wow. Thank you so much, Rachael, for being here. And it's you know what? She is like my very first best friend's little sister. And just to see her as a grown woman doing her thing with her kids, I love it. I love it. I'm sorry that you had to experience that. But like I said, it's something that's more common than, you know, people want to talk about. And I feel like the more we talk about it and we share it, and it kind of takes its power away from the secrecy of it, where, you know, letting people know that you don't have to be in a predicament that is unhealthy or harmful to you or your loved one. So thank you so much for being on the show.
No problem. I just want to say sorry, not to cut you off or anything, but I just want to say, like, there was no shame in my situation. I feel like that situation made me who I am today, made me stronger, made me wiser. So everything happens for a reason. That's what I believe. And you just have to find what that reason is and go with it.
That's right. All right, honey. All right. And last but definitely not least, I have my girl Dionne. Hey, Dionne, how are you, honey?
Hey, boo. I'm good. Everybody, my name is Dionne Davis. You can find me on social media and Facebook under Darker Shade of Ebony. I am the CEO of Darker Shade of Ebony. If you want to know what that is, follow me and you will definitely find out.
Tell them a little bit of what it is. Come on.
Okay.
Come on.
All right. So I am affectionately known as the lip boss. I make natural lipsticks, lip balms, lip scrubs, everything to make the lips smile. I'm about lip love, lip therapy, lip care. I'm branching into other areas of the cosmetic industry soon, but as of right now, I am the lip boss.
Hey, lip on. Oh my God.
She's wearing it.
And she's
Yes, I
wearing
am.
one.
Always. I'm always
And
a
me
product
too.
of my product.
Yeah,
too.
I'll be wearing. I get a lot of compliments on my lipstick. 'Cause
I know.
full lips.
You be rocking it, girl.
So domestic violence. Okay, where do we start? There's so many components of domestic violence that we tend to think that it's just maybe boyfriend and girlfriend, but there is other aspects. Correct me if I'm wrong. There are other
You're correct.
aspects of domestic violence. One that's familiar to most of us is when the domestic violence that takes part in a relationship between a woman and a male. And we sometimes think that domestic violence is just limited to physical abuse. But then there's other aspects of domestic violence that could be emotional abuse, mental abuse, financial abuse. There's so many things. But Nicole, first of all, I think it's so brave of you to have lost your mom to something and now you're an advocate for it. Like, how did that come to be? Like, do you feel like you're your mom's voice because she's no longer here? Like, how did that come to be for you to become an advocate for domestic violence?
Well, I never said when it happened when I was 15 that I want to go advocate, for victims and survivors. It seemed to just happen like God's will. So I always wanted to be a writer. So I always write as a hobby. So I started writing about my experience of losing my mother and how it was growing up seeing domestic violence. So I started a blog called Ward of the Court, which is what all orphans are. You become a ward of the court. And so I just talked about things as they came up in my mind, different experiences in each blog that I experienced, with this situation. And then friends of mine were telling me, you should turn it into a book. So then I did, and I turned it into a book called The End of November, Growing Up, with Domestic Violence. So this is from the blog. So this is how it looks. And it could be found at Amazon and also Barnes & Noble. And Author House is the publisher. It was self-published. And in it, I just put the blog.
I'm sorry, can I just say that it's a really good book.
Oh, thank you.
I read it.
I have the book. I haven't read it yet. I'm going to read it.
Yes. I mean, it's going to make you cry.
That's why I was going to ask
It's
you.
hard. It's hard. It's going to make you laugh. It's going to make you cry. It's real, and it's gritty.
So is it based on your life?
Yeah, it's based on my life with my parents, growing up with my parents, and then that's the first half of the book, and then the second half, which I call the aftermath, is after my father killed my mother, and how my life was then. Because it didn't just stop with, witnessing the abuse all these years growing up. The abuse of me continued with my family, who took us in, and just basically took us in for the money. And so they really showed us that we were a burden. When I say we, I mean myself and my two siblings.
So that's what I was going to ask you. So are you the eldest?
Yeah, I'm the eldest.
So you're the eldest and you had two siblings?
Yes.
And wow.
I was 15, 15, 8, and 3.
15, 8, and 3. Now, if you don't mind me asking, where's your dad now?
He passed away.
Oh, he passed away. Were you able to speak to him prior to his passing, or was he convicted?
He was convicted for first-degree manslaughter, and they gave him 7.5 years.
Did he do
7.25 years. So, what they said, and also he can get out in 4 years for good behavior. So,
how do you get good behavior after you kill someone?
Right.
To that magnitude. But
Yeah.
The system's all messed up. That's another show.
No, it was an eye-opener. As a child, I had the assistant DA tell me and my family that, don't you know that the system sees a woman as a man's property? That's the way all the laws were made, as a woman is a man's property. That's why he only got 7.25 years. So, but we kept going up to the parole board every 2 years, because he had the first opportunity to be released in 4 years. So he thought he was going to come out and everything was going to be cool, but we went up to the parole board, and then I just kept going up every 2 years, even after my family stopped. So I kept doing that for 18 years. So he was in jail for 18 years.
So you did the whole sentence?
Yeah.
Okay.
And his earliest release date was after 18 years, and then they released him. Yeah.
Wow. Ooh. Now, as a child, because listen, I have to. I'm gonna get to a point where I'm just gonna say shit.
Okay.
Because people watch the show. Why you guys tell our business? Well, this is what happened. So
Let it out.
You know, growing up, you know, we were exposed to some stuff growing up that I guess would be under the umbrella of domestic violence, and like, you know, but I attribute it to drinking, because it was dysfunction was such a normal part of my life that now, as I am healing and therapy and coaching, there's so much peeling away layers of this dysfunction that it's not normal for a child to experience. That I at the age of 41 am now learning. But it was just such a part of it. So I used to see some stuff. I used to see some stuff. Okay, family members fighting, police being called, kids being it was crazy. You know, I'm not 100% fully ready to talk about certain things yet, but I definitely know what domestic violence looks like beyond a relationship. Now, let me ask you, so when you're in a domestic violence relationship, I'm pretty sure you don't realize you're in it initially, but there are some red flags, correct?
Yes, there are red flags. I would say, definitely I would say that love is blind. So when you're in a relationship, you're blinded, you're so in love, you don't want to see the red flags, even though they're there. So for me, I felt like I wasn't in a domestic violence relationship because it wasn't like, oh, I didn't wash the dishes, so he hit me. It wasn't an everyday thing. It was once in a blue moon we would get into a fight. So I felt like, oh, this is not domestic violence. You know, our situation is different, but it's no different.
Right.
If he can hit you once, he will hit you again and again and again, and it'll get worse each time because you allowed it that first time. So if people don't see that when they're in it, you know, they just think like, oh, he didn't mean it. But it doesn't stop.
I was talking too much. I did kind of deserve it.
Exactly.
You know?
You think, oh, I did hit him first, you know, but there's no reason for anybody
Be putting hands
to.
on
Yes,
him.
exactly. Especially man on woman, because yes, I have hit a man, but a man hitting a woman is two different things. It could be a love tap and he punched me in the face, you know, so that's two different things.
Right.
So it's difficult, and especially with the kids seeing it is not healthy, and you don't think about that too. You want your family to stay together.
Yeah.
That's how you thinking, oh, he's not that bad of a person, but you're affecting the kids and not even realizing it, as she said.
Oh, we as women, and you know, I'm not taking anything away from the other species. I'm not, but you know, we're women and we live as women, and that, you know, a lot of times we stay for the kids.
Yes.
You know, like, oh, the family. Yeah, but your family will do much better if your asses broke up.
Well, you don't see it like that at the time.
You don't.
At the time, you think this is the best situation because everybody,
family, right?
Traditionally, everybody got you wrapped up to believe that life is supposed to be this way. So you will do any and everything for it to be that way, for appearances. Oh, I have my whole family together, even though inside they're not seeing what's going on behind closed doors.
And then I feel like, too, as a woman, because, you know, I'll say this. I was in a domestic violence relationship at a very early age. And I feel like, so I don't really talk about it because when I think about 19 and 20-year-old Simone, I feel like you were so dumb because the things that I went through at the age of 19 and 20, I wish a nigga would. I'm sorry. I wish a brother would. But I was in a relationship with this guy who, first of all, he lied about his age. I thought he was like 3 years older than me, but I just thought he just looked older. And the mindset that I had at the age of 19 is so different than the age of 41. And homeboy had mad money. One thing that kept me was his money. He had nice cars, he had nice clothes, and he really knew how to trick. So at the age of 19 and 20, he used to rough me up a little bit, but then he used to take me shopping after. And it's funny. It's not funny, but it's funny. Like that, I can't believe that I allowed myself to go through certain things at the age of 19 and 20 for Century 21 items. some mosquito pants and shoes, a nice bag. Like, come on. Like, but I dated this guy, and my friend actually hooked me up with him. And two things took place. And it's, you know, I know my mother watches my podcast. She probably is going to like clutch her pearls because she. And then one thing too, like, you know, when you go through things and you try to keep it a secret.
Yes.
And I feel like my parents never gave me the comfort to come to them. So homeboy knew I was creeping with him. So that was another reason why I felt like he felt so good putting his hands on me. But two things happened. One day I went to his house and I had like this cute little outfit on. It's the summer. I'm dressing up for him. And we on his porch and this guy rides past on his bike making like whistling at me. So rather than him check the man, he was like, "You gonna come over here with that little skirt?" You know, yelling and hollering at me. And it just so happened that my sister was there with me. Do you know he went in the house and got a gun? And he pulled that gun out and he put that gun in my stomach.
Wow.
And I was more embarrassed that he was embarrassing me in front of his friends than the freaking gun being in my stomach. So my little sister was like, wait a minute. Like, she went off. And it was just a whole big thing. She went around the corner, got my sister and my brother-in-law. They, you know, he would not. And when I think about it now, he was such a punk that he didn't even man up to a man. Like, he backed away from the man. Like, no problems. Like, no problems. But he was quick to pull a gun out on me and put hands on me. That was the first thing. And then, of course, you know, like, it took a week of him begging and saying he's not going to do it again. We went shopping, you know, and I went right back. And then the last thing that happened was, I remember this very clearly. It was the last time I saw him, I was going to night school. And he came to pick me up. And I felt in my gut like I should not have went. He came to pick me up. And he was like, "Are you talking to somebody else?" And I was like, "No." He's like, "Yeah, I don't really speak to you. You know, we don't really hang out. Are you dating somebody else?" And I was like, "No." So he told me this story of how he went out with another girl and, you know, he kissed her and he's just feeling her out. And so to me, being dumb, that got my guards down. Because I'm like, if he's telling me that he went out with another woman, I can tell him that I am seeing somebody else. So I told him I was seeing somebody else. When I tell you, homeboy got out the car, he went around the car, I locked the door. He went back. So we did this for like 2 minutes. So I got out the car, I ran, he grabbed me by my hair, and he threw me up against the wall. He had his like arm in my neck. And God as my witness, this man from nowhere, we was on Nostrand Avenue by Sheepshead Bay High School. This Russian man came out of nowhere, elbowed him in his neck, and was like, "Run, run." And once again, when the guy approached him, because the guy was like, "Yo, why are you putting your hand on a woman like that?" He kind of like bowed down gracefully. And that was the last time that I saw him. And then, you know, his mom passed away this year. And he come inboxing me talking about, "Oh, you know, my mom passed away." I was like, "I'm sorry to hear that. But little did you know that you just came out of jail because you was effing your mother up." So thank God I got out of that situation. Like, I never really, like, my cousin and my friends who at the time knew that I went through that. But I feel like that's horrible that a young woman would have to go through that, not tell anybody. Because if my children ever experience something like that, I would want them to come home and tell me immediately. And I was so scared for about 2 months leaving my house. Just to, like, oh my God, if I saw a car that looked like his, I was so scared.
So he was abusing his own mother?
Yeah, he's crazy. Then my friend who hooked me up with him was like, "I ain't tell you he broke his baby mother ankles." I was like, "No, you ain't tell me that."
You neglected to share.
I was like, "No, you didn't tell me that." But that's horrible. And I just remember the fear that I had, the shame. Like, I did something. I didn't do anything to deserve that. I don't care how bad a situation gets or how you argue with somebody. You do not deserve, if you're in a domestic violence relationship, you do not deserve anyone putting their hands on you, speaking to you a certain way. You need to get out. You need to go to somebody, speak to somebody. There's like a hotline number that you can call, right?
There's a national domestic violence hotline.
It's a national domestic violence hotline that you can call. It's not your fault.
You want me to say it now? So it's 1-800-799-7233. That's 1-800-799-7233. It's open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, the National Domestic Violence Hotline. And they'll refer you to people in your area that can assist you.
Yeah, there's help. Like, it's, you know, things are, you know, we have access to more information and more help these days. Like, before, it was just something that was just like, you just, you know, your husband's whooping your ass in the house and, you know, the neighbors are not going to say anything and there's no hotlines. But it's 2018. Things have changed.
Yeah, because I remember when my father used to beat my mother, sometimes the neighbors would call the police, and the police would come and just walk him around the block. And it's like, okay, just cool down and go back in. But he's never been arrested before.
Prior to him getting arrested for your mom.
For my mom's murder.
He wasn't
He was never arrested. No.
Wow.
I think things are changing now.
Of course,
I mean,
yeah.
like, especially
Thank God.
with the, Me Too movement or whatever. Things are getting better, but things like that, like I said, they feel like you're going to take the person back. So why should we deal with it? Why should we arrest him? You're going to let him back in the house tomorrow. So domestic violence is brushed under the rug as something like not that serious. They don't.
Right.
And just like I said, being in it or whatever, like I said, you have restraining orders and things like that, but how does a piece of paper actually protect you? When this guy comes and he has a gun at you or he's trying to stab
Right.
you and kill you, this piece of paper means absolutely nothing. So I feel like they need to do something better as far as the protection that they do give you.
That's right.
because that doesn't work.
Yeah,
I know
believe
that for a
as well,
fact.
Because last Sunday, this 24-year-old was murdered by her ex-boyfriend.
She was shot up. He shot her up.
He shot her up 3 times in front of her mother Sunday night. Just because they broke up and they had 2 kids together, and now he's in prison and the kids have no parents.
That's hard.
And she had an order of protection, that paper, and usually when you get an order of protection, they blame you. The assailant blames the victim, and then they go after them for having this order of protection against them. Or sometimes the victim, out of fear and other things, lets them back in, even though they shouldn't be around them, certain feet away from them. But it is difficult. That's why I would really love to be able to lobby and help change laws when it comes to order of protection. I believe that if a person is arrested for domestic violence, do not give them bail. Because once you give them bail, they're going to go after
retaliate,
the
right.
victim. They're going to retaliate and kill everybody around them to get to that person. I mean, look at Jennifer Hudson and her family. I mean, it happens over and over again.
Oh, I forgot that was
So
domestic violence.
laws do need to be strengthened around how to protect a victim. But you're right, when it comes to, people don't really look at victims of domestic violence as true victims because they go back. And that, because they don't understand the whole structure, the thinking pattern behind the whole, domestic violence is like that. Because this victim is basically brainwashed by their abuser, and the brainwashing has happened for a very long time. And before anyone puts their hand on anyone, they've already done some emotional damage, and they make you feel as though you're nothing without them, and that's why you won't ever leave, and nobody's ever going to want you. I love you. Nobody's going to love you. Your own family don't love you, and it's isolate you from everybody. And it's psychological abuse that happens first.
It's very strategic, and
You would
it's
think
a
they went to
matter of
school.
breaking you down. Like before they put hands on you, they're breaking you down, like
Yes.
breaking you down and and the thing that's sad too is because before I knew, I'd be like, why is she going back to him? But you understand, it's psychological, it's emotional. Like,
Can I speak on that?
sure, yeah.
Because I know I haven't really said much. The psychological, I dealt with that in my, my last situation. And when I tell you, you are broken down. They know how to take you from here and bring you down here. And they know how to make you not look at yourself the same anymore. It's still...
It's okay because you're so strong and you're talking about it.
Yeah, because this
It's
is
very
you taking
difficult to talk about.
This is you taking the power away. The Bible says that you defeat the enemy by the power of your testimony. Like you're testifying, you're speaking, you're releasing. So that hold is no longer going to have any power over you. So speak.
I really started to really believe that I was like a effed up person, like they really made me feel like I was just a bad person once I wasn't available to do what they needed me to do. Thank you. I was an effed up person. I was this, I was that. And it got to the point where like I was just trying to do everything to show them that I wasn't that person that they said I was, and it just, you just wonder like, how the heck did I get here?
It's a very slow process. It's a matter of breaking. It's like breaking you down. Like, ooh, and words are the worst. Like like hitting you. Okay, don't hit. And I'm not gonna lie. I put my hands on some dudes until one hit me back. Sorry. But now that I'm a mother of a son and a daughter, I don't care how strong my son is. I don't want anyone putting their hands on my child. But I tell him, and this, you guys can agree or disagree. If you're in a predicament where a woman is putting her hands on you, you need to leave first.
Yeah.
If you can't leave, you need to knock her ass out.
No, definitely. Girl, you don't look your.
I'm sorry.
She should say that.
I'm sorry.
No.
No, listen to me. This is my. This is no. Seriously, just so you can get away. Maybe like.
No.
It's a serious matter. No, I'm being. No, I'm not saying that you're supposed to beat on them. No.
Okay. So listen. Seriously,
maybe I need to say it a different way. Give me a different way, because I don't want no woman beating on my son.
No, there is no different way. Okay, so I'm just gonna say. Okay, this is the last final time when I left my husband. Like she said, everybody reaches a breaking point. You reach a breaking point, and at some point, because God is trying to tell you something that you can't see. He's been telling you for the longest time.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
So, I mean, that breaking point is the point when it's time. This is it. I can't take no more. So, for me, in my situation, the last and final straw, my ex-husband was hitting me or whatever. I tried to walk away from him. I left the house. I got in my car. He jumped in my car. I'm not thinking he's following me, so I just get in the car. I'm ready to pull off. He jumps in the car. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to get out the car. I call the cops in the car. And like, all right, this man is harassing me. I need y'all to come get him. He leaves the vehicle, right? So I park the car, go back in the house. He's gone. I'm thinking he's gone. Cops, they don't take it serious. They didn't come.
They don't come, right?
Exactly. So, okay, whatever the case may be, they finally come. It's a freaking hour later. They show up. I'm like, well, he's not here. So they leave. Okay, great. Life is great. He comes back. Now he's hitting me again. Right? So now this is my breaking point. You understand? So I did what I thought was the right thing. You know what I'm saying? Because when you're getting beat, like, you want to protect yourself.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You do whatever it is you can. I go in the kitchen, I get a knife, I stab him. Now, it wasn't like, because in the heart of hearts, that's not me. I'm not that person.
Right.
You understand?
Oh.
But how much can you take? You understand what I'm saying?
That's
and it's like,
self-defense.
what can I do to you that's going to hurt you? You understand? That's my mindset in this moment. So it really wasn't a stab, because in my heart I couldn't do it. So I put the knife, pulled it back, but it nicked him. So he's bleeding. Okay, great. Now that put him in angry mode. You understand what I'm saying? So now he takes that same knife and tries to cut my throat with it. So now I have my hand there. So now he's cutting my hand. The knife is going through my hand to stop him from going to my throat. So at the end of the day, I'm screaming, telling somebody to call the cops. Now it's my kids. My kids are young at the time or whatever. They're little. My oldest son called the cops. And we both get arrested. You understand? I'm the victim. But now we both in handcuffs. You know what I'm saying? They don't care. The cop tells me, you should have never used a knife. This is what I'm saying. They don't take the victim serious.
Right.
This is a real situation. They don't care what happened, what's going on, what your past is. They know in this moment you stabbed this man, you getting arrested, you deal with that later. So I'm getting the same treatment as him.
Yeah, and
That happens all too often.
the law, there's a lot of laws that need to change. They're very antiquated
And very
and they're
made for
very
men.
outdated. They're very they don't make sense.
Right.
No, not at all.
You understand? Like, that's another pod. We gotta have a whole lot of other podcasts. That's a whole nother podcast. But I want to just go back. I should not have said he should have knocked him out. I shouldn't have said that. What I should have said is that if he cannot leave, he needs to defend himself. And I don't know, that's what I'm gonna say. And God forbid that he's ever in that predicament.
You don't want your son arrested.
I don't ever want I don't want my son arrested. I don't want him putting his hands on a female. And I tell him to treat these girls out here like you want them to treat your mama and your sister. And but so what is the process for so in your non-for-profit, what do you guys do? Like, what do you do? Like, who do you speak to? Like,
So we focus on prevention. So we're looking to go into New York City schools with a program called Bloom 365, which is already alive in Arizona. And it teaches, it's like you get a PE credit, basically, and it's under public health or the health, they get a health credit for it. And it goes from the basics of the main problem with society where violence breeds from, and this thing about women being underneath a man, and it breaks all those. The training starts from the basics,
That's good.
and then goes up. This is why I love it, and I really want it to be in Brooklyn and 5 boroughs, because I think that it'll be very helpful, to be a prevention, to prevent domestic violence before it happens.
So what I want to know was, so fast forward, you guys have removed yourself from those type of relationships. What does dating look like now? Because I would think that it's hard to even trust another man, or it's hard to allow yourself to be, because what happens is sometimes when things are not addressed or healed, we tend to attract the same type of person in different bodies.
True.
So it's something so now if you're in another domestic violence relationship, now you have to be like, wait a minute, so what am I attracting? What is it that I'm looking for? What is it about me? So how does that look now? Like, what does dating look like now? Like, are you dating? Are you single? Like, what are you doing?
Well, I'm single. But I will say, coming out of that situation, and anybody coming out of any situation, you should definitely take time to yourself to heal. Yes, some me time. Definitely some me time. So I've been single for years now, and I'm on a journey of self-discovery. I can't love anybody until I love myself.
Nice.
At the end of the day. So until you know who you are and where you're going, you can't bring anybody else on your journey. Right. And that's why you're going to keep attracting the same thing, because you don't know who you are. Right. And that's like the main thing. I feel like anybody who's doing the domestic violence, or anybody in it, is a lot of personal issues going on, why they feel like they could hit you, or why you feel like you should accept that.
Right, and that's
so you have to, but you have to get that mental health together before you can move on to something else. Right? Yes, that's a whole nother show.
That's another show, right? Yeah, and it's. Okay. Wow. How about you? What's going on with you?
I've learned to be still. God was like, be still. And he spoke to me through me, and he was like, I have great things for you. Just be still. So I had to be still, and I had to, shake what was put on me, so to speak, because I really, started to see myself different. And I'm just learning how to love myself again. And I'm just taking it one day at a time, I asked God, I was like, God, you pick him this time, because I realized that what I was doing wasn't working out. So, I'm just allowing, God to do what he does best, and, one day at a time.
And you know what's so amazing, like, now is you ladies don't look like, and I hope this doesn't come out stupid, you ladies don't look like you would allow that to happen, which is why it's girl. It's so, it's like, what? I always thought my mouth, let me tell you, my mouth has always been popping. So I'm like, how did I end up in a situation where somebody made me feel like the bottom of the shoe, that somebody made me feel so small, that somebody had me so, I don't even know what the word is, but because I was always quick to come back. But I did that in the beginning, and they kept beating me down, till I just was like, I had no more, So that's, I never would have thought me. I'm like, me? Never. But
I was married before, and so I realized that I was in an abusive relationship when it actually started to get physical one day.
So I'm not to cut. Isn't that amazing how you went through it? So this is before you became an advocate?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's saying about history repeating itself.
Yeah, and I always said I'm not going to be like my mother.
And I say that all the time. And my kids like, Mom, you act like grandma. I mean, like, sometimes you have to, we have to make conscious decisions to stop the pattern.
Yeah. Yes.
Like,
first, we have to identify.
You got to identify it. You have to heal, and you got to create something different, because. Oh, go ahead.
Because I didn't even realize that I was in an abusive relationship, because it started off like as simple as, you shouldn't wear lipstick. It doesn't look good on your lips. Oh, okay. Oh, you shouldn't, let me help you buy your clothes, because, he's paying for my clothes, right? My husband. And I was like, okay. So he'll pick out the clothes for me. He used to take me shopping and pick out the clothes for me. And I would let him because I would always say, well, he has better taste than I. Because he'd always say that anyway. I'm like, you know what, you're right. You do know how to put stuff together better than me. So I'm not shopping without him. I can't wear lipstick, but I'm in my mind, I'm like, he's right. And everything he told me, I'm like, you know what, you're right. And I realized that his own, I don't want to go into details, but someone told me who's very close to him, like, why are you doing that? Why are you not wearing lipstick? Because he said that, but why? What do you want to do? What does Nicole want to do? And I started forgetting what Nicole wants, you know, and it was all about what he wanted was really what I wanted. And then, you know, I don't really talk about that too much because I have 2 children from the relationship, but I've been divorced for the past 7 years now. But looking from the outside, looking in, I see all the red flags now, you know, after the fact. But they're so subtle, and they're always very subtle. And that's why I believe in this teen dating violence prevention program, Bloom 365, because it teaches kids, and they'll be able to retain what red flags are, what to look out for.
And I think that is a conversation that a lot of times parents avoid different conversations because they don't, like, we need to talk to our kids. I wish I could have gone home and spoke to my mom and said, you know, this guy's putting hands on me. But then that's another thing, like, oh, you ain't supposed to be dating. That's not realistic. You become a certain age, you're naturally going to be attracted to whoever. So it's this is a lot.
I feel like the prevention can come from teaching kids to love themselves. When you love yourself, there's no way you would allow anyone to do anything to you harmful, whether it's mental, physical, or any other way. So a lot of times we're getting into things and we're not really 100% in love with ourselves.
And that's definitely part of the training as well.
Now, do you think that that's women? Because, you know, I do a lot of things for women because I'm a woman. But I feel like a lot of times women, we're raised a certain way to accommodate other people, especially when it comes to men. Do you think so? Like we're raised to accommodate outside of ourselves, like, you know, be helpful or, you know, help assist. We're not really taught about how to take care of ourselves. Like, well, what does Simone want? Like, at some point, like, you know, we should ask ourselves questions like, well, what do I really want to do? Like, I don't really want to go. Yeah. I don't really want to not wear lipstick. I like wearing lipstick. Like, like I had a conversation with my husband. Like, initially, he didn't want me to go natural. And I was like, oh, I don't want him to think I'm not pretty.
Right.
Oh, what if, you know, because I asked him. Now, normally, he wouldn't come out and, like, when I've come home to several different hairstyles. And I knew he liked the hairstyle or he didn't by him not saying anything. If I came home and he made no comment, that means he didn't like it. So when I asked him, like, should I go natural? And he was like, I didn't meet you natural. I was like, wow. But then eventually I got to a place and I was like, I'm going to go natural. Like, I want to do this for myself. If it doesn't work out, we can do other stuff. But I did it for myself. But I feel like as women, we should really start to talk to ourselves before we ask other people for their opinion.
I see that society, traditionally, a woman, a wife, are supposed to please their husband. So, and that's ingrained in us, not just from what we see, you know, with our parents, but in the society. Now I see a transition happening where they're trying to change societal values, but we've always traditionally had to be the ones, the caretakers, the one who makes everyone feel good. You know, like even with dating a man, I'm in a dating site, and these men on it are like, so what do you have to offer me? You know, what do you have to give? You know, like, why does it have to be like one-sided like that? Why does a woman always have to be the worker bee in a relationship? It's supposed to be mutual.
I'm gonna fluffle some feathers because there's actually there's a scripture in the Bible. I believe it's in Ephesians 6, and it says that wives are to submit to their husband. It's in the Bible. Because even you have these men, these narcissistic men, or these men with hidden agendas, manipulative men that try to use the Bible. But here's the thing with that. You have to continue to read the scripture. It says, wives, submit unto your husbands as Christ. As Christ submits to the church, right? The Lord. Oh, I know something. So now it's like, even for me, you have to, I don't know how we got in this, but even for me, you have to know God for yourself. Whereas people cannot use religion to try to conform or to try to trick you into doing something. Like a lot of in my personal experiences, religion tries to do that. Like it takes away your natural flow of your creator, because religion has an agenda as well. Not knocking church or any other religion or anything, but you have to know God for yourself. That's because if he created you, he's not gonna allow situations and circumstances to kind of, I'm not gonna say it. I gotta backpedal on that, because some things that happen in our life look like a bad thing, but there's a greater purpose for it.
Oh yes.
So I had to be careful
definitely
like that.
Well, I feel like basically, I don't see nothing wrong with submitting to your husband. Like, the man that I marry, I'm going to be a good wife at the end of the day. But that doesn't mean I doesn't love myself, because the man that loves me will also not have a problem with me being me. You know what I'm saying? So I want him to love me for me, and I'm definitely going to take care of him in return. So I don't have a problem being submissive, but like controlling is something different from being in a loving relationship and wanting to please the other person.
No, I don't mean like I'll be submissive too. I'm learning how to be submissive to my husband, but sometimes I feel like that goes back to you having a good conversation and knowing who you are, knowing the difference between what submitting to your husband looks like. Like, just because it's written in the Bible doesn't mean that they get to flip it and make it to accommodate them for their own special needs or their selfishness.
And like you said, you have to read the Bible on your own. And like you said, it's just, you have to read in context, the whole
thing, the whole story.
Because it says that husbands are supposed to love their wives, right? Like you said, love doesn't hurt. Right. So if someone's being abusive to you, they are not you don't submit to that.
Yeah, now you got to go to what's that? 1 Corinthians 13 and read the love scripture, since you want to talk about love.
This is right, yeah,
about that,
and find out what love is, the breakdown of true love. And you see on Dionne's T-shirt, "Bring love on others more."
I like that shirt.
That's Bloom, the Bloom 365 program, BLOOM.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yes.
Now, so do you have a website? How can someone donate to the cause? How can someone support your business, or how can someone assist you with Bloom 365?
Well, on the Heather Hurley Foundation Instagram, right now we have a link where people can donate and also buy tickets for our upcoming fundraiser, which is Purple Power. This is our 7th year, and it's happening November 4th from 3 to 6.
I went last year and the year before. It was a great event. The food was delicious.
Yes, and it gets better every year. And so if you go on the Eventbrite link that's there, I believe it's purplepower2017.eventbrite.com. Then you can 2018, yeah. purplepower2018.eventbrite.com. You can donate there. There's a donation a button there, or you can also buy tickets. Okay. As well.
I'll share that on my event page. Yes. What else do you ladies have coming up?
Nothing.
Are you an advocate too? Like, do you share your story? Like,
well, she is now.
I'm trying. Yeah, exactly. This will be actually my first time actually sharing my story.
Congratulations.
Now I'm basically, thank you. I'm trying to basically put myself out there, share my story more to help others at the end of the day, and promote positivity, because at the end of the day, life is about choices. Being happy is a choice. So everybody has to want it for themselves. You can't sit here and walk around sad because you've been through this or been through that, because there's too much greatness going on in the world to be focused on the negative, and happiness is contagious. That's what I always say. So I just try to spread positivity, and hopefully somebody feels it. That's what's on my page, and that's where I'm going as far as anything that I'm doing.
You guys need to connect.
Yes.
Definitely.
How you can support each other, how you can help each other. What's the name of it? You guys have to check out the book. I have the book. I haven't read it yet, but I'm definitely going to read it. It's called The End of November, Growing Up with Domestic Violence, Nicole Sharpe. Where can they buy your book again, Nicole?
On Amazon, online, Barnes & Noble online, or authorhouse.com.
Okay. Where can they find you on social media again?
Heather Hurley Foundation on Facebook, or Instagram, Heather Hurley Foundation, and on Twitter, Heather Hurley Foundation.
And Dionne actually made some lipstick in the color of supporting
definitely, yes, I
domestic violence. You have a special color. What's the name of the color?
Purple Power.
Purple Power.
Not WER, WA, Power.
Power.
Power. Oh, Power.
Purple Power.
And where can they get some of your lipstick from, your lippies?
They can get my lipsticks online, www.darkershadeofebony.com, or you can reach out to me via email, darkershadeofebony@gmail.com, or you can visit me on any of the social media handles, Darker Shade of Ebony, on Instagram or on Facebook, any which way you prefer to reach out to me.
Okay, and Rachael, how about you?
Oh, yes. You can find me on Instagram at Beautiful Serene Queen or on Facebook at Rachael B. Drops Jewels.
And October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. If you have a friend or if you know someone that is going through a domestic violence situation, do not judge them. Be there for them. If you know that they are being hurt or in any way, like physically being hurt or in some type of bad situation, don't feel bad if you have to call the cops. One of my coworkers, actually, she lost her brother-in-law. He was an old school rapper. I forgot his name, but he was an old school rapper who intervened between a male and a female. And he was like a martial art kind of guy. He kind of roughed the guy up. And as he was walking away, the guy turned around and stabbed him from behind and killed him. Wow. So he did the right thing. He saw a woman getting beat up or, hit. This was maybe like 2 weeks ago. Oh, wow. And he intervened and it cost him his life. So domestic violence is very real. It's not just physical, it's mental, it's emotional. Mm-hmm. And, one thing I want to say is that God gave us these conscious, like these little voices. The spirit of discernment is in each and every one of us. And if you feel a certain way, if something is just not quite right, more than likely it ain't right. You have to find someone to speak to. What's the phone number again?
The National Domestic Violence Hotline is 1-800-799-7233. It's actually 800-799-SAFE.
Yes, and it's no judgment. Don't be embarrassed. It doesn't matter if you don't have money in your account. It doesn't matter if you're not able to buy certain things or you're not where you want to be in life. You don't deserve to be treated or mishandled in any way or any fashion. This was a good show. This was a little heavy. I like to laugh a lot, but it's a little heavy. But it's definitely a conversation that's necessary. Yes, I just want to appreciate you ladies for coming out and being a part of the podcast. My name is Simone S. Gray. You can find me on Some Me Time on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Twitter, and I'm on Pinterest. This was a really good show, and I just want to give a shout out to We Say What They Can't Radio for giving me the opportunity to be able to have a podcast. You can find the show on iHeartRadio, Spotify, and iTunes. I got it. And thank you for joining us today. I'm going to give a shout out to everybody. Thank you to Dre and to Mike. And that's pretty much it. I'm just going to be thinking about some stuff. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for stopping by. Love you. See you soon. Bye-bye.